Hello, friends. There is a number that has frightened more people over 60 than almost any other, and that number is £23,250. You have probably seen it written down somewhere, or heard it from a neighbor over the fence, or read it in a comment underneath a video, much like this one. The council will take your home. They will leave you £23,000 and not a penny more, and everything else, the house you spent 30 years paying off, the bit of inheritance you wanted to leave the grandchildren, all of it gone to a care home. I want to spend the next little while telling you exactly what that figure really means, because the truth is a long way from the frightening version, and once you understand how these rules genuinely work, you will be in a far stronger position than the person sitting at home simply scared of them. This matters to you whether you are 70 and in fine health, or whether you are already quietly helping a husband or a wife who needs a little more looking after than you can manage on your own. It matters because needing care later in life is common, it is expensive, and the rules that decide who pays for it are misunderstood by almost everybody, including, sometimes, the people working inside the system. Get those rules wrong, and you can hand over money you never needed to lose. Worse, you can make a decision meant to protect your home that quietly backfires and leaves you weaker than if you had done nothing at all. So stay with me. By the end, you will know what the council can and cannot do, the situations where your home is completely safe, the arrangement that can mean you never sell it in your lifetime, and the one kind-hearted mistake that families make over and over that I would dearly love you to avoid. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. One quick and important thing before we go any further. Everything I am about to explain is general information to help you understand how the system works. It is not personal financial or legal advice, because your own situation has details I cannot possibly see from here, and care funding is one of those areas where a single detail changes the whole answer. So treat what follows as the map, not the instruction. For anything that affects your actual home or your actual money, check the official guidance or talk to someone properly qualified, and I will point you to the free places that do exactly that near the end. Now, what is that £23,250 figure, really? Because almost everyone has it slightly wrong. First, one boundary I have to draw. The rules I am describing today are the rules for England. Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland each handle this differently, and I will come back to that. So if you are watching from elsewhere in the United Kingdom, hold that thought for a moment. In England, when someone needs to move into a care home for good, the local council does not simply pick up the bill. It carries out a financial assessment, often called a means test, to work out how much you pay and how much, if anything, the council pays. That assessment looks at your capital, which means your savings, your investments, and in some cases, the value of your home. And there are two lines that matter. The upper line is that famous number, £23,250. If your assessed capital sits above it, the council treats you as a self-funder, which is simply the term for someone who pays the full cost of their own care. The lower line is £14,250. Below that, your capital is left out of the sum entirely, although your regular income, things like your pension, still counts. So the figure that frightens everyone is not money the council takes off you, it is the point at which you stop getting help with the bill and start paying it yourself. That is a very different thing, and whether your home even comes into that calculation depends completely on your circumstances. In a great many cases, it does not come into it at all. There is a detail inside that calculation worth knowing, because it is another spot where the scary version misleads people. Folk imagine that the moment you are paying for care, the council drains everything you own down to nothing. It does not work that way. In the band between the two lines, between £14,000 and £23,000, you are treated as having a small assumed income from your savings, worked out at £1 a week for every £250 you hold in that band. It is a modest figure, not a clear out, and your capital is never assessed below that lower line of £14,250. That money is protected, full stop. On top of which, if the council is contributing, you keep a weekly personal allowance from your income for your own day-to-day spending. The picture of a pensioner stripped down to their last coin is simply not the system that exists on paper. To make that real, picture someone moving into care with £30,000 in savings and no property in the sum. They are above 23,000, so for now, they pay their own way. As that money is spent down on care and eventually drops below 23,000, the council starts to contribute, and the contribution grows steadily as the savings keep falling, until the savings reach 14,250. At that point, the remaining capital is left alone completely, and only their income counts towards the bill. Nobody is taken down to nothing. Here is the part I most want you to hear, because it is the part missing from nearly every frightening headline. Your home is not automatically counted, and in several very common situations, it is completely protected. Start with the biggest one. If you are being cared for in your own home, rather than moving into a care home, the value of that home is not counted at all, not a penny of it. Care in your own home, sometimes called domiciliary care, is assessed only on your savings and your income. The house you live in is simply not part of the sum, and since most older people who need help would far rather stay in their own home for as long as they possibly can, that single fact takes the fear off the table for an enormous number of families. Now suppose someone does move permanently into a care home. Even then, the value of the home is disregarded, which is the official word for left out of the sum, if certain people still live in it. If your husband, wife, or partner is still living there, the home is disregarded for as long as they remain. The same protection applies if the person still living there is a relative aged 60 or over, or a relative who is disabled or unable to manage on their own, or a child of yours under the age of 18. So the classic nightmare that a wife loses the family home because her husband has gone into care is in most cases simply not true. While she is living there, the home is safe, and there is one more bit of breathing space that very few people know about. When you first move permanently into a care home, the value of your home is disregarded for the first 12 weeks no matter what. That 12-week window exists for a reason. It is there so that families are not bounced into a panicked fire sale of the house. It buys you time to take proper advice, to weigh your options calmly, and to look at the arrangement I am about to describe. That arrangement is called a deferred payment agreement, and it is one of the most useful things in this whole area that the system does almost nothing to advertise. The idea runs like this. Say your home is your main asset, your other savings are below the upper limit, and the home is going to be counted because nobody who qualifies for a disregard lives in it. Rather than selling the house straight away, you can ask the council to pay your care fees on your behalf, and the amount they pay is recorded as a debt secured against your property. You do not repay it month by month. It is settled later on, usually when the house is eventually sold or out of your estate after you have gone. In plain terms, it can mean you never have to sell your home in your lifetime to pay for care. Your family can sell it in their own time afterwards, or keep it and repay the council some other way. It is not completely free of cost. The council can charge interest on what it has paid out, and there may be an administration fee, so it is not a thing to sign up to blindly. But for a great many people, it is the whole difference between a forced sale and a calm, considered choice. And if a member of staff arranging care for your relative has not mentioned it, that does not mean it is unavailable to you. Ask for it by name. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. Now the warning, and I would ask you to pay close attention to this one, because it is where good intentions cause real harm. The most common idea people have for protecting the family home is to give it away before any care is ever needed. Sign the house over to the children now, the thinking goes, and then it is not yours, so the council cannot count it. I understand completely why that sounds clever. It is also one of the most dangerous moves you can make, and here is the reason. The council has a rule built for exactly this situation, and it is called deliberate deprivation of assets. If you give away your home, or your savings, and the council decides that getting out of care fees was a significant reason you did it, they are entitled to carry out the assessment as though you still owned what you gave away. They call it notional capital. You no longer have the asset, but you are charged as if you do. So you can land yourself in the worst of both worlds. No house and a care bill worked out as though you still had it. People often reach for the so-called 7-year rule at this point, believing that if they gift the house and then live 7 years, they are safe. That rule is about inheritance tax. It has nothing whatsoever to do with care fees. For care funding, there is no magic time limit at all. A council can look back at a gift made years earlier if the circumstances suggest care costs were already on the horizon when you made it. And there are dangers here that have nothing to do with the council either. Once the house belongs to your children, it is exposed to their lives, a divorce, a business going under, a bankruptcy, even a simple family falling out, and you can lose the roof over your own head through no fault of your own. I am not telling you what to do with your property. I am telling you that the quick trick you may have heard whispered about is rarely the protection it appears to be, and the people who suggest it so casually almost never spell out the downside. There is also a route that can mean the care is not means tested at all, and it is badly underused because hardly a soul is ever told it exists. It is called NHS continuing healthcare. The principle is this: if a person's need for care is mainly a health need rather than what the system calls a social need, then their care becomes the responsibility of the NHS, and the NHS does not means test anybody. It pays for the entire package, including the cost of a care home, whatever your savings and whatever your home is worth. The line between a health need and a social need is not always an easy one to draw, and these assessments are well known for being hard to win. But if your relative has serious, complex, or genuinely unpredictable medical needs, it is absolutely worth asking for a continuing healthcare assessment. Plenty of families pay for years without ever realizing they might have qualified. One last practical note in this corner of the subject. If the council is funding a place, but you would prefer a particular home that costs more than the council will pay for, a family member or another third party can usually pay the difference, which is known as a top-up fee. It is a perfectly normal part of how the system runs. Just be sure that any top-up is genuinely affordable for whoever is footing it, because it has to be kept up for as long as the care goes on. If there is one belief that does people the most damage in all of this, it is the idea that the system is built to take everything, and that putting up any resistance is pointless. The real picture is far more balanced than the fear lets on. There is a protected floor your capital cannot be pushed below. There are clear situations where your home is fully disregarded. There is an arrangement that can spare you a forced sale. There is even a route where the NHS covers the lot. None of that is buried in fine print to catch you out. It is just not advertised, for the simple reason that nobody makes any money telling you about it. A couple of honest caveats before we move to what you can actually do. Those two figures, the 23,000 and the 14,000, have been frozen for a long stretch now and have been argued over endlessly in the reform debate. So do check the current numbers for whichever tax year you happen to be watching this in, because they are exactly the sort of thing that can shift. And remember the boundary I drew at the start. All of this is England. Scotland provides personal care free of the means test in a way England does not. Wales uses different capital limits and caps some care charges. Northern Ireland runs its own arrangements again. If you are not in England, the broad shape is similar, but the numbers and the fine detail are not. So look up your own nation's guidance. There are a few concrete steps you can take from here, and not one of them involves sending anybody money or signing anything in a rush. First, If you or someone you love is starting to need help, ask the local council for a care needs assessment. It is free, it is your right, and it is the front door to everything else. If care is needed, ask for the financial assessment too, and ask the council straight out which disregards apply in your case and whether a deferred payment agreement is available to you. Use those exact words. They are the council's own terms, and they tell the person on the other end that you understand the system. Second, if there are serious health needs in the picture, ask specifically about an NHS continuing healthcare assessment. Do not sit and wait to be offered it, because you may wait a very long time. Third, before you make any large decision about your home, get proper independent advice. For care funding in particular, there are financial advisors who specialize in precisely this, often described as later life advisors, and you can find accredited ones through the Society of Later Life Advisors. For free and impartial help there is Money Helper, which is backed by the government, there is Citizens Advice, and there is Age UK, all of whom deal with these very questions every single day and will not charge you a thing. Their details are easy to find on their websites. And fourth, please, before you gift your home or start shifting money around to shield it, speak to one of those advisors first. The price of a single conversation is nothing set against the cost of getting this wrong. Pull all of that together, and the picture is this. That frightening figure, £23,250, is not money the council takes from you. It is the line in England above which you pay for your own care. Your home does not even enter the calculation if you are looked after at home, or if your partner, an elderly or disabled relative, or a young child still lives in it, or for the first 12 weeks of a permanent move into care. A deferred payment agreement can mean you never sell the house in your lifetime. The NHS may cover the whole thing if the need is mainly a health one. And the kind-hearted trick of signing the house over to the children is, in most cases, no protection at all, and can leave you worse off than if you had left things exactly as they were. If you take only one sentence away today, let it be this: the council does not seize your home, and the people who understand the rules calmly almost always hold on to more than the people who act out of fear. Knowing how it works is the real protection. And as I said right at the start, this is general information rather than personal advice for your own circumstances, so do lean on that free, qualified help before you act on anything that touches your home or your money. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.